The storm started 5 minutes before midnight, violent, sudden, like the sky had been holding its breath all day just to scream now. Wind rattled the old windows of the Hawthorne estate, shaking the glass in their frames as if begging to be let inside. And inside, clutching a flickering lantern as the lights hissed and died, was Elias Ward, a man who had spent most of his life pretending nothing scared him. But the trembling in his hands tonight said otherwise. He told himself it was just the storm, just power outage, just old with complaining. But deep down, Elias knew better, because tonight wasn't like other nights. Tonight was the anniversary of his sister's disappearance. And every year on this night, something came back. It started with a whisper, soft, breathy, brushing past his ear like someone leaning in too close. Elias, he froze. The voice wasn't the wind. It wasn't the pipes. And it definitely wasn't his imagination. It was her voice. Mara, his twin, gone for 10 years. Pronounced dead. Body never found. He swallowed hard, scraping together a voice he didn't even recognize. Mara. The lantern dimmed, sputtered, then steadied again. Silence. He exhaled shakily. Not tonight, he muttered, trying to convince himself more than anything. Not again. But the whisper came again, this time behind him, brushing cold air against the back of his neck. Elias, why did you leave me? The lantern nearly slipped from his grasp. Stop, he whispered. Please. He hated the desperation in his own voice. Hated how it made him feel 12 years old again, terrified, helpless, standing alone in the forest, calling Mara's name until his throat bled. He wasn't that kid anymore. He had built a whole career on being fearless, an investigative journalist, exposing corruption, cartels, cults. He'd been shot at, hunted, threatened, exiled. But nothing frightened him like his sister's voice in the dark. He forced himself down the hallway, lightning illuminating the long corridor in brief, violent flashes. The estate felt alive tonight, breathing, watching, listening. The portraits lining the walls seemed to track him with their dull, oil-painted eyes. Then, as thunder cracked overhead, something slid across the floor just ahead of him, a small object, stopping perfectly at his feet. Elias shined the lantern down. A single white ribbon. His breath caught. Mara used to wear that ribbon every day. She was still wearing it the night she vanished. His fingers trembled as he reached for it. The moment his skin touched the ribbon, the temperature plummeted. Then, a soft giggle echoed down the hallway. Childlike. Wrong. Lightning strobed, and in that split-second flash, Elias saw someone standing at the end of the corridor. A silhouette. Small. Motionless. Watching him. Mara, he rasped. The figure turned and walked through the wall. Not into a room. Through the wall. The lantern dimmed again. And for the first time in a decade, Elias wasn't sure he was alone in this house. He wasn't supposed to be here. Everyone told him not to come back. Therapists, friends, his ex, even the police investigators who worked his sister's case. But the anonymous letter he received 3 days ago left him no choice. If you want to know what really happened to Mara, return to Hawthorne Estate on the night of the storm. No signature. No explanation. Just a date. Tonight's date. And now here he was, walking into the lion's mouth. Because part of him still prayed there was something left of his sister to save. The floorboards groaned behind him. Elias spun around, heart hammering. Someone was standing a few feet away. A woman, drenched in rain, shivering, hair plastered to her face. Who are you? Elias demanded, lantern raised. She stepped forward, hands trembling. My name is Leora. I'm your new maid. My what? I'm sorry, I know it's late, she said quickly. The agency told me to come today. I knocked and the door just opened. I called out, but no one answered. Elias blinked. He hadn't hired a maid. He hadn't hired anyone. Leora looked terrified, eyes darting at every sound. She clearly didn't want to be here any more than he wanted her here. A thunderous boom shook the house. She flinched violently. "Please," she whispered, "if you don't mind, could I just stay until the storm settles? I'll leave right after." Elias hesitated. He should tell her to go. There was something wrong with this house, with this night. The last thing he needed was someone else getting dragged into it. But looking at her, so visibly afraid, soaked the bone. He couldn't. "Fine," he said softly. "Stay close. Don't wander anywhere alone. Understand?" She nodded quickly. "Good," he murmured, "because this house isn't safe tonight." As they moved down the dark hallway, Leora kept glancing behind them nervously. "You feel it too, don't you?" Elias asked quietly. She stiffened. "Feel what?" "The cold. The presence." She swallowed hard. "I thought it was just the storm." "It's not." Leora's hands tightened around her own arms. "Has something happened here?" Elias hesitated. "My twin sister disappeared here. Same night, same storm. 10 years ago." Leora paled. "I'm so sorry." He nodded. Then she whispered, "Do you think she's still here?" Lightning flashed, and in that instant, Elias saw a figure standing directly behind Leora. A small girl, hair dripping, eyes hollow. Elias reached out instinctively. "Leora, move!" Before she could react, the girl vanished. Leora spun around, terrified. "What? What happened?" Elias ran a hand over his face. "We need to get to the study. Now." The study was the only room where he felt remotely safe. A massive space lined with old books, the scent of cedar and dust clinging to the air. This was where he had last seen Mara alive. He shut the door behind them. The storm roared outside, the walls trembling as if something enormous pressed against them. Leora stood in the center of the room, wringing rainwater from her clothes. "Whatever is in this house, it's angry." "It's not just the house," Elias muttered. "It's trying to tell me something." Lightning flashed. For a fraction of a second, the entire room illuminated, and Elias froze. On the wall above the fireplace, carved into the wood, deep, fresh grooves, were 2 words. "Help me." Leora gasped. Elias stepped forward, fingertips tracing the letters. "This wasn't here earlier," he whispered. "Who would carve something like that?" Leora breathed. "Mara," Elias whispered. A soft thud sounded behind them. Then another, slow, deliberate, like footsteps. Leora grabbed Elias's arm. "Please tell me that was you." "It wasn't," he said. The footsteps grew louder, closer. Elias moved protectively in front of Leora. Then the study door slammed open. Wind blasted through the room, scattering papers everywhere. And standing at the doorway was a man. Tall, drenched, expression unreadable. "Elias Ward," he said in a low, gravelly voice. "We need to talk." "You're trespassing," Elias snapped, stepping between the stranger and Leora. "I was invited," the man replied calmly. "By who?" "You." Elias's blood ran cold. "I've never seen you before." The man smiled faintly. "Not in this lifetime." Leora whispered, "Elias, there's something wrong with him." He nodded slowly. He could feel it too, an energy around the man that felt almost hollow. "What do you want?" Elias asked. "To tell you the truth," the man said, "about your sister." Elias stepped forward. "Where is she?" The man's eyes gleamed. "Closer than you think." He reached into his coat. Elias tensed. Leora gasped. The man pulled out a small silver cassette tape. Old, worn, labeled with 1 word. "Mara." Elias's breath caught. "Play it," the man said. "Why should I trust?" But before he could finish, the man was gone. Vanished. No footsteps. No sound. Just gone. Leora stared at the empty doorway, trembling. W was even human? "I don't know," Elias whispered. "But whatever this is, it's all connected." He inserted the tape into the old player on the desk. Static crackled. Then Mara's voice drifted out, soft and trembling. If you're hearing this, I didn't disappear. I was taken. Elias froze. Leora covered her mouth. Mara continued. There's something living in the house, in the walls, in the mirrors. It knows our names. And if you don't run. The tape screeched violently, a distorted scream ripping through the speakers. Elias yanked it out, heart pounding. The room fell silent. Then a voice whispered behind him, Run. The house shook violently, dust raining from the ceiling. Leora cried out as a massive crack split across the wall. Elias grabbed her hand. We need to get out now. They sprinted into the hallway. Portraits fell from the walls, some shattering across the floor. Wind screamed to the corridor as though no windows were open. The temperature dropped so fast that Elias could see his breath. A figure flickered in and out of sight ahead of them. Small, moving quickly, always just out of reach. Mara, or what was left of her. They reached the grand staircase when the entire house groaned like a dying animal. Leora gasped, pointing to the bottom of the stairs. A little girl stood there, pale, eyes completely black, smiling. Mara, Elias whispered. The girl tilted her head. Then she spoke in a voice that wasn't hers. She's waiting for you. The floor beneath them cracked. Elias grabbed Leora and pulled her back just as the staircase collapsed in a thunderous crash. The girl vanished. Basement, Elias said, breathing hard. There's something down there. Something Mara wanted me to find. Leora shook her head fearfully. Basements are never a good idea in horror stories. This isn't a story, Elias said softly. This is my sister. Leora swallowed. Then I'm not letting you go alone. They moved quickly, dodging falling plaster and shaking walls. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. Unnaturally cold, breath freezing cold. The basement door creaked open before they touched it. Leora stepped closer. Did you? No, Elias whispered. They descended the stairs slowly. The basement was massive, stone walls sweating moisture, old lights flickering overhead. Shelves of dusty boxes loomed like silent watchers. And in the center of the room was a door Elias had never seen before. Metal, rusted, and chained shut. Leora whispered. That wasn't part of the original house, was it? No, Elias murmured. And it wasn't here 10 years ago. Lightning flashed through the tiny basement window. And suddenly, written across the metal in fresh red paint, no, not paint, were the words, Don't open it. Elias's heart pounded. Mara had always left him messages when they were kids. Ribbons tied on doorknobs. Notes tucked under pillows. Warnings. I think she's trying to protect you, Leora whispered. But someone wanted me to come here, Elias said. Someone sent that letter. Something shifted in the corner of the room. Elias turned quickly. A shadow pulled itself along the wall, stretching, twisting, moving unnaturally. Then it spoke. You shouldn't have come back. Leora grabbed Elias's arm, frozen in fear. The shadow detached from the wall and stepped into the light. It was the man from the study, but his face was different now. Wrong, rotting around the edges, as if time was devouring him. You brought her with you, the man rasped, pointing at Leora. Good. Leora stumbled backward. Dubby, why are you looking at me? Elias stepped in front of her. Get away from her. I can't, the man hissed. She's the key. Key to what? The man smiled, skin stretching unnaturally, to opening the door. The chains rattled. The lights flickered wildly. Something slammed against the metal from the other side. Leora screamed, covering her ears. Elias yelled over the noise. What's behind that door? The man's eyes glowed faintly. Your sister. Elias's blood ran cold. No, he whispered. You're lying. Am I? The man said softly. She's been waiting for you. Something growled behind the door, a deep, guttural sound that rattled Elias's bones. Leora whispered, "Whatever that is, it isn't human." The man nodded. "Not anymore." The chains snapped one by one. The man stepped forward. "Open it." "No!" Elias shouted. The final chain snapped. The metal door burst open, and everything went silent, dead silent. Then a hand reached, broken, covered in dirt. "Mara," Elias whispered, stepping forward. Leora grabbed him. "Elias, stop." The little hand trembled. "Mara," he whispered again, voice cracking. "It's me." Then the rest of the figure crawled out. Not Mara. Not anymore. A creature twisted by time and hunger and rage. A shadow wearing the memory of a girl. It lunged. Elias froze. But Leora moved first. She shoved him aside. The creature slammed into her, knocking her to the ground. "No!" Elias screamed, grabbing the lantern and smashing it over the creature's head. Flames erupted. The creature shrieked, retreating back toward the metal doorway. The man howled, and oh, she was meant to open. His body twisted violently, then imploded into shadows. The creature disappeared into the darkness beyond the door. Elias grabbed Leora, pulling her to her feet. "You okay?" "Leora, look at me." She winced, clutching her shoulder where the creature had grabbed her. "I'm fine," she whispered, but her voice trembled. "We're leaving," Elias said firmly. "Now." The house groaned, shaking violently as they raced back up the stairs. Every light exploded. Every door slammed. Every window shattered. It felt like the entire estate was collapsing inward, reality tearing at the seams. They reached the front door and threw it open. Cold rain hit their faces. Fresh air. Freedom. Elias pulled Leora outside, but she yanked her hand from his grip. "Elias, stop." He turned. Her eyes were filled with tears and fear. "Your sister didn't follow us out," she whispered. He looked back. The doorway was pitch black, like the house itself was watching them. "I have to go back," Elias said. "Elias, no." "She saved me tonight," he whispered. "I have to save her." Leora shook her head desperately. That thing in the basement wasn't her. He hesitated. Lightning flashed, and for a split second, Mara stood in the doorway. Not twisted, not monstrous, just Mara, as she was before. She lifted her hand as if waving him back. "Elias," she whispered on the wind. "Please." His heart shattered. He stepped forward. "Elias, you go in there and you won't come out." Leora cried. He looked at her, truly looked at her. She wasn't just a stranger. She had risked her life for him, for Mara, for someone she didn't even know. He touched her cheek gently. "You saved me. Thank you." Then he stepped back toward the door. Leora grabbed his hand one last time. "I can't lose you," she whispered. "You won't," he said softly. Lightning flashed again. The house roared. Mara's silhouette disappeared. The doorway swallowed darkness. Elias took one final breath and stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind him. Leora screamed his name, but the storm drowned it out, and Hawthorne Estate went silent, completely silent, as if it had never been alive at all.